Hi, good evening and namaskar, as they say in Mumbai. I'm the Mumbaikar and I am the one who's flown in specially to have a conversation with you this afternoon. Thank you very much. But before I begin, a big round of applause for the beautiful children who've actually quite eloquently welcomed all of us and you. Big round of applause. I think we can do a bit better, louder. My topic today is about embracing risk for growth. Thank you so much for the team at DPS to have me here. And my 18 minutes begin now. You know, the 56-year-old international baccalaureate organization headquartered in Switzerland had a very astute proposition for the world when they began. They spoke about primary kids being nurtured to become risk takers. For them, assessment was beyond the marks. It was about honing in these important life skills, embracing risks. Interesting proposition, and you think about it, they weren't talking about advancement in technology or math skills or literacy. They were just talking about becoming an all-rounder. Taking on those calculated risks, embracing them, knowing what to do with them and how to do them. You know, the researcher in me, when I started thinking about it, I couldn't agree more. Embracing risks is what I've done all my life. But the researcher in me got me thinking to say, hey, listen, we're a community of listeners in this audience today. And by the way, a lot of pressure because I have high school students listening to us. And fellow speakers, they're a tough audience. So coming back to the point, I needed to set as context, right? So the old-fashioned 50-year-old that I am, Googled. What did Google throw up in terms of a definition for the word risk? Lots of them. And you have to be smart enough to pick the one that's relevant. Everyone tells us that. Well, for the sake of this discussion, I picked one that resonated with me. It's a simple one. And I quote, and which is what I'm quoting here. In simple terms, risk is the possibility of something bad happening. Risk involves uncertainty about effects, implication of an activity with respect to something humans value. Health, well-being, wealth, property, and environment. Often focusing on the negative, undesirable consequences. Gosh, that really got me thinking, and it put a little bit of dampener on my very enthusiastic desire to propose to you why embracing risk is important. But think about it. Think about what the think tank at the IBO thought of. They propositioned using this negative risk into creating an opportunity for students. They believed that this risk would make you cushion, give you that little support that you need to navigate life's goals. So for you high school students, the idea really is that this is kind of a tool. And you know what? This risk has many, many manifestations. 4 years ago, the world stood still. Everything that we ever knew, everything we ever believed in was challenged because we went through a pandemic. Countries were devastated, organizations perished, everything was really destroyed. Fast forward 4 years later, and what really emerged was the fact that those who survived, those that created success stories, those that really chose a different path were people who embraced risk. They took it on, perhaps as a mode of survival. They took it on to create a path for themselves. You know, so hospitals existed, and they were probably the only ones that really, really survived. But hotels became COVID centers. Travel agents became logistic companies. Bankers started thinking about sustainability. Everybody from their core path started to think differently. They embrace risk. They embrace risk to survive. Well, but there are some like me who embrace risk because that is all I know. I'm a businessman's daughter. He's done it 50 years ago, and that's all I know. Companies like us, like me, embrace risk not to survive, but to elevate, but to grow. 6 years ago, just before COVID, I founded a company, largely a woman force, yay, woman power. So 20 women had to commute 4 hours every day to reach to their workplace. We're in the business of education, rather to say, we nurture children. We talk about creativity. We want people to think differently. For that, you need to be creative. And commuting 4 hours every single day to your workplace and back and then lead those lives meant there was kind of a dilution. This 25-year-old who interned with us told me, Fatema, hey, let's rethink the order. Let's create a disruption. You keep talking about disruption. And her proposition to me was work from home for the company so that they could create. My partner almost threw me out of my own company. I listened to her and I thought about it from a productivity point of view. And I thought also from a creative point of view. Good for us, when COVID happened, we were already Zooming, we were already sharing screens, we were already a company that had a far more fitter workforce. My productivity, office costs are very expensive by the way, were reduced 40% and my company doubled its profit through COVID. When everybody was just figuring out how to look on that screen, we were already doing it 2 years hence. So you're thinking, right, all you high school students, Fatema in a monologue, what is she trying to get us to think about? What does this make sense to us from our perspective, sitting and thinking about university life and hopefully a career? How does risk and embracing risk really help us? Does it mean that, companies that survived through COVID survived because they adapted? Does it mean companies like yours survived, really innovated and created? What does that mean to us as high school students? Well, my proposition is very non-threatening for you guys. I'm not asking you to change the world. I'm not asking you to reinvent what you are comfortable with, because as a high schoolers, you deserve that. When you get to my age, you need to probably take a few more risks. But at this pace, you're good. My proposition for you is very simple. Take on a few changes. Take on a few risks, and they don't have to be life-threatening. They have to be these little bite-sized concepts that you can chew and don't choke. So what does that mean in your world? Picking a newspaper as opposed to checking the news on Insta. Your Snapchat should not tell you who won the US elections. Your WhatsApp group should not discuss only what you think Trump administration will do for the rest of us all over the world. You may read, pick up a fiction book on history if you wanted to be an engineer. You may be a sportsman, but think about taking up a musical instrument to add a bit to your personality. So essentially what I'm asking you to do, high school students, and by the way, I'm a mother of a 19-year-old, and I know where you're coming from, which is why I'm asking you to think about this. Make a list of all the things you're really, really good at. Then make a list of all the things you absolutely detest and hate. And from that very, very long list of things that you don't like to do, pick up simply 3 things. Non-threatening, nothing to push you physically, emotionally, mentally, but something to help you move away from your comfort zone. You know what that means? That means if you're a sportsman, like I said, pick up a guitar, play it, drum it. it adds to your knowledge base. It makes actually a lot of sense if you're an engineer and want to play a musical instrument, because there is a link between the science of music and the science of engineering as well. If you're a banker, well, aspiring to be banker, pick up a book like Perry Green and read it for all its emotions attached to it. You just might be that compassionate banker that works out better hedge fund products. What I'm asking you to do is move away from that comfort zone. So eventually, you get into the habit of taking a bit of challenge. And for me, challenge is called risk. It's that opportunity waiting to unfold to give you a tool to survive, a tool to succeed. Interestingly, what I'm asking you to do is actually build your portfolio, which I know all of you are, because Veena now tells me a lot of you are applying to universities abroad. It gives you character. It gives you the ability to experience something that you haven't done before and broaden your horizon. You know what? When people tell me, ask a high schooler, so what are you about? You are about taking those risks. So think about it. Well, the question to me would really be, great, we hear your point, that risks will embrace change, will get us to perhaps grow, survive, but really if we don't want to, and we stick to the conventional path, why should we have to take this effort? Well, I'm going to answer that in a very simple way, and the only way I know how to give you live examples. There are three that I want to present to you, and these are authentic stories, experiences that I've had a one-on-one with, and I've taken the liberty of sharing them with you after taking permission from the three. My first one is a middle schooler who was on a John Hopkins gifted program, Open Minds program with high ability learning, exceptional student who basically whiled away his high school years. 11th and 12th with a very rigorous program, pretty much resulted in the wrong side of the draw, which basically means those grades had nothing to show home about. Life as it for him would have been over. Like most kids would think, I don't have a shot. I pretty much just scraped through. I'm a loser. What he did was embrace this loss. What he did was take this into his stride and said, maybe this failure is my risk to take. Maybe this failure means I need to do something to get out of it. Took on jobs, interned with companies, anybody who was willing to give him a shot. Went to a community college because no Ivy League would accept those grades. Took on a few challenges and risks, and today, this child is graduating from an Ivy League college, doing a master's program on scholarship. Embrace risk, growth, success. My second story is about a young lady who at 21 made the unfortunate choice of being vulnerable to a commitment that did not work out. Unfortunately, she found herself compromised with certain personal, physical choices that she made. She had a huge university career ahead of her when she was pursuing her master's, but that emotional drain meant she couldn't do it. She embraced risk. She decided to use her failure, her vulnerability as an opportunity to save others her age. She founded a company to help children who were being victimized and vulnerable. She risked her reputation because her very conservative family was scared when she went out there and shared her story. Today, her company is being looked at by angel investors. Her story is saving lives because her proposition was, I'll save my reputation, but I might risk others falling prey. So here's my opportunity to make do with something that didn't work out for me, but I'm going to take that risk of losing my reputation for saving many. My third example, and this one's a very critical one for all you sportsmen out there. This is a young 17-year-old budding badminton player, very well, played for her state in our country, was pitted to be the next national champion. So all her childhood was spent on that badminton court. She sacrificed birthday parties, she's never made it to cultural events. Basically, she even was at home, studying, being homeschooled, for the only reason that she wanted to achieve was to play for India, and badminton at that. A life-threatening injury and a mental illness meant that goal remained a dream. She could have broken down, and she did. But she used that opportunity, again, of failure to say, what more can I do to help myself? What can I do? What has that taught me in terms of sport that I can remember and make it a career? She's today a young influencer helping athletes like her who don't make it to the national team. Not because they're not talented, but simply because in India we have 1.3 billion people, supremely talented. She gives them an opportunity to have a voice, and today is a sports commentator. So high school students, my proposition to you today is simply to say, embracing risk should be a part of your DNA. But before I allow my other illustrious speakers to take the stage and share their perspectives on what the roll of the dice could be for you, I'm just going to leave you with this story. And again, it's a personal anecdote. Quite frankly, if I'm sitting in your chair, I'm going to be thinking about the fact that someone's asking us to take these risks, right? This 50-year-old is lecturing us. What have you done in your life, Fatema, that makes you worthy of listening to? When I stand here simply saying, at 40, I think I went through that life-changing moment, and I had to embrace a risk. I had to decide to leave my comfort zone of a very profitable, very comfortable, very, very cushy, and very adored role into moving into the unknown and creating from scratch after I'd spent decades building what I had. I was worried. What if I fail? What if I don't make it? But thankfully, I did. And today, if I have been invited as a TED speaker to speak to you, is because of embracing that risk. I walked away, leaving everything that I created behind, with the confidence of taking a risk and doing it right because I had the memory of anyway doing it. So my proposition to you, high school students and anyone who's listening to me today, whatever your motivation is to take a risk and embrace it, be it personal, to survive, to succeed, for the greater good of mankind, whatever your motivation is. I think living without taking and embracing that risk would be a daunting proposition. It will hold you back. It will not allow you to explore the potential. And I think I heard the president say that the world tomorrow needs more thinkers, needs more disruptors. You may not even know you have it in you till you don't take that risk. My risk is to create. And I can safely say that I have 3 more risks and 3 more companies I'm going to set up. I know my risk is to create. Find yours. Thank you very much.